Hey, g'day, I'm Toby. Hey, g'day, I'm La 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 la. Hey, g'day, I'm Toby from Toby Fire and Steel. This is a video chatting about a few things that people talk to me about every now and then, and I get asked quite a bit, like, I want to get into knife making, how should I start, and all that sort of stuff. Well, personally, I'm, what am I, 36. I've done a little bit with my life, and I decided when I was, 33, something like that, that I wanted to sort of make knives. I came from a bit of a prepper background, someone who wants to be prepared for everything. I wanted to be able to forge my own knives and that sort of stuff. So I went down that road and started creating my own knives, and just got a little bit carried away from there. Now, the reason I actually got into it was because I'm a guy with 4 kids and not a great deal of money, and wasn't able to sort of spend a lot of money. I actually bought my first sort of what I would call a proper knife, which was a Gerber strong arm, which I think I paid $103 for, and they were about 120 to 150. And I shopped and I shopped and I shopped looking for the best price I could find. Now, I think I paid $103 for it. Really liked the knife, and just thought I could make this. I could make this knife. So I pretty much did. Just started making them. Now, I decided I was going to get into forging first thing, and maybe that wasn't the best place to start. Probably should have just started with stock removal. I spoke about this before. Get my grinds down and that sort of stuff. But just started making knives and really enjoyed it. So it does beg a question, what sort of people want to make knives? Like, the average person I tell about this, it's never crossed their mind to make knives. They never thought, oh, I wouldn't mind making knives. Or when I tell them that I make knives, they go, oh, okay, that's cool. Very few of them actually go, wow, I'd love to make my own knife. It takes a certain kind of person. Someone who probably is pretty practical, though not always. Look at a lot of really good makers. Never ever started out with any tooling abilities. Still sort of haven't got any tooling abilities. They've learned to use the specific tools they got, but outside of that probably couldn't do a lot of practical stuff, but they're making incredible knives. And we all know a few knife makers like that, whether we know it or not. So it does beg the question, who is making these? Who's making knives? And I think it tends to be a lot of guys who start out as EDC type guys, chefs, hunters, people who practically use knives really regularly. They start to see flaws in knives that they buy, and they would think that they would like to make something, or they could like to get something better, and realize quite quickly either they can't afford that better, or they would like to have a go at just doing it themselves, because, I don't know, they never do find the better. They never find something that does exactly what they want it to. So it is a broad range of people. Lots of people come into it of all different shapes and sizes. How do you get started in it? And all those people are going to come from different backgrounds, so they get started in it differently. For me, I've said this before, I'm a builder. So I owned a lot of tools, and I'm very practical with tools. So I started pretty much with what I had. I mean, I did buy a few tools, but I started with what I had, and then have built up pretty quickly to the tools that I own. How to get started is different for every person, but you don't need to go out and buy all of the best tools straight away. Start with a file. Filing down a bit of steel to the right sort of shape, send it off to get heat treated. I think we all had this image in our head when we started. I most certainly did, even though, like I say, I'm from a practical background. I had this funny thought in my head. I was going to be like, get a bit of steel, make it hot, hammer 3 or 4 times, it'd be a almost perfect knife shape. Grind it a little bit, it'd be sharp. Heat treat it just in oil like they do on Forged in Fire, or the handle would just be a bit of wood you put on, and carving it to those awesome shapes that you see people like Mariko Malmassi, and you'd think, hey, I could do that, it'd be nice and easy. It isn't. It's not that easy. So make knives. I speak to quite a few people who start out wanting to make the first perfect knife. They're making a knife for their grandma or for their sister or something like that, and it's going to be the perfect Christmas present or perfect night. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure she'll be really pleased with it. But also, don't get me wrong, it's going to be crap. And if it isn't crap, you're doing very, very well. There's going to be at least things in it that you could have done better or would like to do better next time. Maybe give the first ones away if they're good enough. Maybe put them in the bin. Maybe snap them in half to see what your heat treat's like. Starting is more about a commitment to start than anything else. It's very easy to procrastinate waiting for tools or whatever else, but I think you need to start out by like talking with your family. Go and actually say to your family, look, this is what I want to start doing. I want to start making knives. I know it sounds weird, but it's just a thing I want to do. I want to try it out. Will you support me? They might support you by helping pay for some tools. They might support you by putting money towards a course for you. They may support you by not taking the mickey out of you and treating you like an idiot and going, oh, you'll never be able to do it, or teasing your first few blades. And also set time aside. You have to set time aside. It's so easy to take up a new hobby, love it for a month or something, and then you just don't have time to do it. You run out of time to do it. All the tools sit there, or all the stuff you bought sits there and just goes to rack and ruin. It's really sad. You've got to actually diarise times. Diarise days, hours, minutes, if that's all you've got. If you can only find 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, talk to your wife, talk to your husband, talk to your partner, talk to your mum, whoever you live with. Hey, I'd really like to book this time in every Monday afternoon for half an hour where no one talks to me or whatever. I just do stuff in the workshop. Sure, they'd be really understanding of it. And the next thing to do is to really surround yourself with the right people, because it's unlikely your family is going to know anything about it. They're not really going to be able to help you. They're probably not going to be any help to you. In fact, they're going to have all these ideas to help you that are crap and annoying. Join Facebook groups. There's heaps and heaps of good Facebook groups. The more you join, the more you'll find. Facebook suggests them to you and all that sort of stuff. Now, Facebook is a two-headed beast. It can be incredibly helpful. It can be. You can find so much good stuff on it. But also, not only does it suck your time because it's addictive and we're all addictive humans, we spend heaps of time staring at all this stuff on Facebook and Instagram and all the other social medias. But people aren't very nice to each other on it. Like some of the groups, their rules are just pretty much don't be a dick, because there's so many people being a dick on them. Just so impolite and so unkind. And a lot of these things are called like bladesmithing for beginners and knife making for beginners and all that. And then people expect them to know everything. And they're rude when they ask a simple question or show off their first knife. Now that goes the other way too. Don't go on there and act like you know everything when you don't. And don't give advice on something you have no idea about. I often see people ask for advice and other people come on and just say the most random crap that has nothing to do with it. Or I heard that my mate said that my dog's brother, when he was a knife maker, said rah-de rah rah rah. That's not advice. That's some second or third hand opinion. It's not helpful. Often clogs up conversations with information, making the people who do know what they're talking about look at it and see, oh, there's 50 something comments, they'll have the answer. Or people write the same thing 3 times because they're not going to scroll through all 50 comments to see whether someone's answered the question right. So treat it all with a bit of respect. Treat it like you're talking to other people. Like treat it like you're talking to the person that's in front of you, or 5 people are in front of you. But Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, they're all awesome places to start, and you will find a lot of information on there. And get involved with the conversations if you have anything to add to it, because you'll start getting your name out there and people will want to help you. Just be polite, be kind. And when you're asking for any information, have a search first and see if it's been asked before, so you're not asking the same questions. Here's a tip. Some of the first ones that everybody seems to ask, or lots of people seem to ask, is this random piece of steel from Bunnings okay for making knives out of? No, it's not. Is this leaf spring or coil spring Any good for making knives? Yes, possibly, but also possibly not. Steel is the cheapest thing. It's been said many times before. Buy some 1084. It's really easy to heat treat, and it costs next to nothing from so many suppliers all around the world. If you want to just make some knife shaped objects, feel free to use your bunning steel, but be aware it's never going to be a knife. If you think it's a noob question, in fact even if you don't, look it up, because it's probably been asked a heap of times before. Go to physical groups. Join hammer-ins. Like if you're in Lake Macquarie in Newcastle, come and join the Hunter Valley Hammer-In. Jamie Bishop, Sausage Man, and Riley Burns of Bespoke Crafts Photography, and myself run a hammer-in called Hunter Valley Hammer-In, and we have a Facebook group, and we do physical hammer-ins where beginners or experienced people can come and make stuff. It's great. Learn and teach whichever way around you like it. Do that. And if you can't be in our one, join another one. There's tons of them. There's so many physical groups, and also courses. Save up for a course, do a 1-day course or a 2-day course or whatever you can actually afford. It's definitely worth doing to get involved. So I think a big part of this is actually decide why you are doing it. Is this something that you intend to make a career? Do you want to one day sell knives? Have people finding you on Instagram and giving you thousands of dollars for your knife? Or is this just a hobby? It's just something you want to do, you're just having a go at it. And don't be wrong, you can change. You can make your mind up and then change 6 months in that you want to you can start thinking, I'm going to be a knife maker, professional knife maker, and sell $1 million knives. And 6 months in realise, I'm never going to have time to do this. And not just that, I like doing it. I don't want to ruin it for myself and decide not to do that. You could be the other way around. Start out making them, get really damn good, and get an awesome name for yourself, like a few knife makers I've known, and then you could go along and decide you're going to start full time and do it. It needs to be a decision process that you go through and then actually follow along. Make knives as often as you can. Enjoy yourself. Find the ones you like making and making them. I have been doing this, like I say, for about 1.5 years, maybe 2 years now, and I love it. Love it. I am part of the KAA, which is the Knife Art Association, and that is a group in Australia, and we organise all of the knife shows, and we organise the Blade Symposium and that sort of thing. And in fact, the Blade Symposium is coming up next March, first weekend of March. Jump on that now. That, if you're even thinking about knife making, if you've never made a knife and you're just considering it, book it. I think it's like $400 or $500. I don't know. It's the best $400 or $500 you'll ever spend. It's in Canberra, and you'll come away from there knowing whether I want to do this the rest of my life or nah, it's not for me. But it's going to be awesome, and you need to be there if you have anything to do with knife making. So, I do have a question for you. Are you a knife maker? Do you make knives? Why did you get into it? What made you decide you want to be a knife maker and you are going to start making knives? And if you actually are a knife maker who's full time making knives every day, and that's all you do, let me know. Write in the comments below. Tell me why and what made you decide to change and to decide to go down that road and to do it. And actually, where was the point? What was the point at which you went, I can afford to now, or I'm going to step out in faith and actually decide to do this? Leave your comments below. If you liked the video, please look and see what else there is here. Share this video. That'd be really appreciated. And subscribe. Also, very, very shortly, the Toby Fire and Steel podcast will be starting. It will be some of these type of videos. It'll also be all of my interviews that I've done in the past and all the new interviews that are coming along. And then there'll also be some special interviews that are only done for the podcast. They will be phone interview type things with different guys from around the world. I'd also love for you to comment below and tell me what you'd like me to talk to those people about. I'd love to get some really specific interviews, some ones on real specific things that people would like to know, and who you think would be a good person to actually answer those questions. Not just generic, who are you, what are you all about, and where do you live, and what sort of knives do you make. I'd love to get some real news type interviews with people to find out some real detailed information. So if you have any good questions and any people you'd like me to interview, I'd love to hear from you. Hooroo.